Now we'll discuss about the identity property. So identity, what do you mean by the identity? Now the number is having one value and its value will never change with any application. Then it is known as the identity. How the value will not change with any operation, we'll check. For the addition, we'll check. If a is a number, what the value if we'll add means, we'll get the same number, same. This is a number. The face value of this a is a. So what the number will add here, so that this face value will not change. So that is 0. If a is added to that value, it will be the a. So it is not losing its identity. So the similar way, if that value is added to a, still also this identity, this value's identity will not change. This is a. So in the identity property, the a plus 0 is always equal to 0 plus a. If a number is added to 0 or 0 is added to that number, then the result will be the same, the number itself. So this is called the identity property. So identity of the additive identity here, how what? No, 0. The additive identity is 0. Identity is equal to 0, because if 0 is added to any number or any integer or any integer added to 0, they will get the same integer. So the integer value will not lose its identity. So the additive identity of is always 0. Now for the subtraction, we'll check whether this subtraction is having its identity or not. So if a minus 0 is, whether a minus 0 is equal to 0 minus a. No, it is not equal to 0 minus a. If 0 is subtracted from any number or any number is subtracted from 0, they are not getting the equal values, because here a minus 0 is a, but 0 minus a is minus a. So a is not equal to minus a. For that reason, this subtraction is not having any identity. For multiplication, we will check a into what number if we will multiply, we will get the same number, same identity. It will be 1. 1 is the multiplicative identity. Identity is 1, because if a into 1 is a and 1 into a is a. So we are getting the same number, same integer. So the multiplicative identity is always 1. Identity is equal to 1, because by the same value. So multiplicative identity is 1 always. For division, we will check whether division is having its identity or not. So if we will divide a divided by 1, whether it is equal to or not with 1 divided by a. A divided by 1 will always get a, but 1 divided by a is 1 by a. So a is not equal to 1 by a. For that reason, division is not having its identity. So division is not having identity. Only the identity, additive identity is always 0 and multiplicative identity is always 1. It is very important to remember. The next one is inverse property. In inverse property, what the things that is happening? if we'll take an integer a, what the inverse value of a it will be? It will be a minus a. If a is added with minus a, what the value you are getting? 0. So, what is the inverse? A is the inverse. A and minus a, we can write a and minus a are the inverse of each other. Are inverse of each other. Inverse of each other. That means if the inverse number is added to any number, we will get 0 in the result always. Then that number is inverse to that particular number. So a is inverse to minus a and minus a is inverse to a. So a and minus a are inverse of each other. So we'll check that property for the subtraction. If I'll write a minus of minus a, whether we are getting 0 or not, because a is the inverse of minus a. But in subtraction, we are giving the minus sign here. So what will be the result? A plus of a, we are getting 2a. So we are not getting 0 in the result. We should get 0 to get the inverse. So in the subtraction, this inverse property cannot be applied. So we'll check for the multiplication. In the multiplication, the inverse is nothing but the reciprocal of that number. Here in the multiplication, if we will inverse the number, we will get the result 1 always. Because here if we will get the reciprocal, then we are getting 1. So a and 1 by a are inverse of each other. This is the multiplicative inverse and this is the additive inverse. Inverse of each other. So before we have checked the additive identity and the multiplicative identity. Here we are getting the additive inverse and here multiplicative inverse. We are getting, for division only we will check a divided by 1 by a, whether they are inverse to each other. If a divided by 1 by a, what we will get? A into a by 1. So a into a by 1 is nothing but a square. So we are not getting 1 in the result. So if we are not getting a 1 in the result, so this multiplicative, the inverse is not, can't apply for the division. So we can't apply for the division. Now we have to remember the additive identity is always 0. Multiplicative identity is always 1. And a and minus a are the inverse of each other. These are called the additive inverse. These are the additive inverse. Additive inverse and the multiplicative inverse are a and 1 by a. A and 1 by a are inverse of each other. They are known as multiplicative inverse. The remaining concepts will be discussed in the next video. Subscribe my channel and press the bell icon so that you will get the notification of my new uploads on other topic. If you are understanding all the concepts, like my video and share with your friends to get the benefits. And most importantly, Don't forget to ask doubt in my description box where you will get my WhatsApp link. Thank you.